Hello, Brampton members. Here we are in the first week of May, and we're here for another Captain's Corner. Unfortunately, we're in a lockdown and the golf course is closed, but we wanted to talk to you today about a couple of really important topics. My name's Greg Allworth. I'm the 2021 club captain.
I'm Patrick Yasher, your head golf professional.
So, the two things we wanted to talk about today. We want to talk a little bit about events, and we want to talk a little bit about the tee sheet. So, how about events?
Yeah, our events, we are in a lockdown. We are very, very hopeful that we are going to run every single event in our 2021 calendar, and that goes across all of our sections. We recognize that as we sit here, we have missed Ladies Opening Day. However, we do have a plan to postpone and reschedule those events that we may miss in a hope of, by the time we get to the end of our season, we've done all our events across all of our sections. So that is our goal, and we are sticking to that plan.
Yeah, and we learned last year that we can run events in a safe way. We'll run them as tee times, not as shotguns. We have to limit the amount of congregating or socializing after an event, as well as we're going to have some creative options for food and beverage out on the golf course. But we know Brampton members love competing. We know you love events. We're going to run all the events that we possibly can. One date that I want you to definitely keep in mind, June 12th is our two-day club medal play. That's also a qualifier for several different events throughout the year. So it's a big event. We hope we're going to be open a few weeks before that, so everybody can get out here, sharpen their game, and play well that day. Next thing we want to talk about, we're here on the first tee. I want to talk a bit about the tee sheet. So in April, we were open for basically a weekend and a half. How was demand out here, Patrick?
You know what? It was almost mid-season levels. Like you said, we had opened a little earlier in April than kind of is tradition. We got some great weather, and we're coming off the winter where everyone was inside, and so the demand was almost what we saw in June. We had, I believe it was 3 or 4 days where we had well over 200 golfers.
Wow.
on the day. So it's fantastic. But it could put a little bit of stress on some tee times.
Sure. So, and on top of that, because it was April and we had shortened hours, we were starting at teeing off at 9 o'clock. So between the amount of demand we had, shorter hours, there was a lot of pressure for tee times. And some of you may have noticed that you may have gotten tee times or been playing golf at some times that you were not exactly what used to or what you'd seen in the past. So we wanted to spend a little bit of time today to talk about and refresh everybody on how the tee time lottery works. We run a lottery for Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and we're going to spend a little bit of time on how that works so you know how best to request times and what the outcome's going to be. Patrick, you want to walk us through that?
Yeah, absolutely. Be happy to. So I'm going to do my best to explain it as very simply and easily as I can. So as everyone knows, the first step is going to be a ballot process. So one person in your foursome, you're going to nominate whoever you like. They're going to go and submit a ballot. A ballot is basically a request. It's not a firm tee time. You are simply saying, I'd like to play between the half an hour increment of 8 and 8:30. And all of our ballot times are in a half an hour increment. Once all of that ballot process has been completed, there's a cutoff time. We take all of those ballots, and for a lack of a much more creative example, all of the ballots go into one basket. We then draw the ballots one at a time. Ballot number 1 comes out. That is the first priority ballot. They could have requested 8 a.m. They could have requested 2 p.m. The time request is irrelevant. They have first priority. They will be awarded their first tee time. So if the first ballot out is 8 to 8:30 in that half an hour, they will get 8 o'clock. We'll then take ballot 2, and if that is also 8 to 8:30, they will get the next available tee time as close to their request as possible. So they would, in this case, would get 8:09. And the process continues until we've gone through all of the ballots for that day.
Now, what happens, Patrick, if I request 8 to 8:30, and when my ballot comes out, 8 to 8:30 is now full? What happens then?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So what's actually going to happen in that instance is you're going to get the next closest time. Could be later than 8:30. It could be a little bit earlier than 8 o'clock. You may get the 7:51 tee time. As the ballots are drawn and as that half an hour request gets that block of times, those requests are fulfilled. Your ballot then just goes to the next available tee time as close to your request as possible.
Okay, and just to be clear, we don't actually have a basket that we're pulling.
Gosh, no.
It's the computer, GG Golf. The GG Golf system is doing all of this for us. It's an automated process that just happens in the computer.
Exactly. So GG Golf is going to do all that on the back end of their system. Just from the example perspective, simply drawing them out one at a time. That's kind of the easiest, hopefully most concise way that I can explain how it happens.
So if I think about it, sometimes I'm going to get the exact time I requested. Sometimes I'm going to get a time fairly close to when I requested, plus or minus a bit, and occasionally I might end up with a time quite different than what I requested based on when my ballot comes out of that bucket.
Exactly.
Now, is there anything other than just random draw that affects how these ballots come out?
There is. So there is a small piece of the algorithm that will take into account your previous variance, and more specifically, your entire group's previous variance. So as you mentioned earlier, we run a lottery on Wednesdays and weekends. We're going to take you're going to submit your ballot, and then that group's previous variance. So I'm going to use an example. You've submitted a ballot request for Saturday, and all 4 of your players also played on Wednesday. It is going to take the variance that you got from your Wednesday tee time, and it's going to factor it in onto your Saturday request. So as you move through the season, what the system is hopefully doing is not penalizing the same people over and over again. It's going to take into account your previous day's variance, and that's if you do it on Sunday, it will take into account Saturday,
right,
etc. down the line to hopefully help to balance out when you're getting awarded tee times.
Right. So the idea with the lottery is to make it fair, that everybody gets a chance to request a time they're looking for, and that the system goes in and, using a lottery methodology, pulls out those requests and spreads the tee sheet out. We know we're going to be busy this year. We know that there are popular times that people want to play. We're going to ask for everybody's patience a little bit and understanding. The lottery will assign the tee sheet. Sometimes you'll get exactly what you want. Sometimes it'll be a little different than what you want, but we hope over the course of the season that you're going to be close to your tee time more often than not. One thing that we are trying to do is we understand that one way that we can help is by increasing the number of tee times available. So we're looking to increase the capacity, especially on weekend mornings. So we are going to move the first tee time 30 minutes earlier. So for May, that'll move to 7. In June, that'll move to 6:30. That allows us to put some more tee times into the mix. It allows us to increase capacity over the whole day and especially before noon. And that way we can get more golfers out in the morning. Now, when we do that, that means that doesn't give Marty and green staff enough time to prep both 9s. So when we move it half an hour earlier, we're going to run all tee times from the first tee. So we won't run a crossover. We will run everything from the first tee. So we will now have tee times once we get into June from 6:30 right through to the end of the day off the first tee. So once again, we are looking forward to getting back to playing golf. We're hoping for some good news in the next few days that maybe we'll get open early. We're looking for a little better weather than we've had the past couple of weeks. But we're hoping that we get back soon and get everybody out on the golf course. So we're hoping all of our Brampton members stay healthy. We hope you stay safe, and we'll look forward to seeing you out on the golf course soon.